Let me take you back to a series between the Lakers and the Kings in 2002. Remember a time when the Lakers had won 2 straight championships and they had the most dominant player in the league? You know who he is, Shaquille O'Neal. When I say dominant, he was like nothing you'd ever seen before, because he was nothing we had ever seen before. He was a man that was 7'2", had a standing jump that could reach 12 feet 5 inches. And knowing this, that no one could stop him, maybe thought that any team wouldn't have a chance against the Lakers, especially since his wingman is freaking Kobe Bryant. He doesn't need an intro when he can do things like this. Yeah, it speaks for itself. I didn't think anyone had a chance against the Lakers back when I was 7 years old. Well, the Kings actually did stand a chance, and I'm going to tell you why. First, we need to talk about why this series meant so much. In 2000, the Kings were on the rise, and they pushed the Lakers to 5 games in the first round. Back then, 5 games was equivalent to 7 games. They were a best-of-5 series. When I rewatched this series, they reminded me a lot of the Uprising Thunder, who pushed the Lakers to 6 games in the first round of the playoffs in 2012. You know, when they had 3 future MVPs on their team, Russ, Harden, KD. I still think they never should have traded Harden away to the Rockets. But that's for another story. Then the next year in 2001, the Lakers make short work of the Kings and sweep them in the second round, 4 games to none. 2000 and 2001 would be the build-up to the showdown that would happen in 2002 Western Conference Finals, where the Kings and the Lakers would meet again. To start off, we need to go over the lineups that each team had. The Kings, they had players like Gerald Wallace, drafted by the Kings in 2002, Mike Bibby, acquired in a trade in 2001, Peja Stojakovic, one of the best three-point shooters of all time with a career percentage of 40.1%. Chris Webber, arguably a top 50 player of all time. The next player up is Vlad Divac, who's on the tail end of his career during the Lakers rivalry, but was still a formidable player in his own right. Lastly, Hedo Turkoglu. I think we better know him from his Magic days in 2004 to 2009. Next, let's introduce the Lake Show. Showtime. They had 2 dominant players. One, Kobe. We all know who he is. His resume speaks for itself. 5-time champion, 18-time All-Star, 2008 NBA MVP, the Black Mamba. One of the greats. Next up, we have Shaq. We all know the guy from his time on TNT after his career, but his career was no scrub either. He was a 4-time NBA champion and a 15-time NBA All-Star. Yeah, that's really good. Next, we got Rick Fox. He was your average glue guy, you know, Draymond Green, team builder, guy that held the team together. He came to the Lakers with the reputation of a versatile wingman who can pass, defend, and shoot, and he did just that. Next, we have Robert Horry, who has hit some of the clutchest shots in NBA history. You don't get the nickname Big Shot Rob for nothing. Last but not least, we got Derek Fisher, who is a knockdown 3-point shooter, and you can always rely on for a clutch bucket. I mean, remember what he did against the Spurs? 0.4 seconds. Enough said. So now that we got everything set up, we're ready to go back to the series between the Lakers and the Kings in 2002. The Kings had just had the best record in the league with a record of 61-21. The Lakers were 3rd in the league that year with a respectable 58-24. Both these teams deserved to be there. They earned it. But everyone knew that this year, the Kings were the best team in the league. The first few games would go back and forth, the Lakers winning Game 1 and Sacramento taking the next 2 and 3. Game 4 helped Robert Horry get his nickname, Big Shot Rob, with the shot against the Kings to help overcome a 24-point deficit the Lakers had in the first half. Roll the clip.
Putting the move on Christie. Rebound O'Neal. Coming up short. Horry for the win.
Then the Kings would win Game 5, making it 3-2. Going into the all-pivotal Game 6, we need to go over a few things. In Game 5, Shaq had been complaining about the foul calling because he had only took 1 free throw in Game 5, and the Kings attempted 10 more than the Lakers as a team. I mean, how can Shaq take one free throw? Have you seen his game? Nah, that's not right. So Game 6 is interesting because of the officiating. It's thought of the game that was rigged for the Lakers. In the fourth quarter, the Lakers had 25 free throws alone. In the whole series, games 1 through 5, they have been averaging 25 free throws. Yeah, something just doesn't add up. There's no way that in one game, the free throws can go up 15 from the average, and that most of them be in the fourth quarter. Still, something just doesn't seem right. Kings have a real gripe when it comes to this game, especially because the game was only won by 4 points. I mean, look at this play by Kobe Bryant. I mean, I am a Kobe fan, but come on, man. That's gotta be called. That's a foul. To make matters worse, Tim Donaghy, a ref that was famous for gambling on games, had his lawyers say this about the game. Feel free to pause the video and read it all, but the important part of this is that the refs wanted a Game 7. They wanted to push it from Game 6 to Game 7, and that it was rigged. Tim Donaghy, who's famous for gambling on games, probably even gambled on this game. I have no facts to back this up, but that's my opinion. I mean, he's famous for gambling. He knew that the Lakers were going to win. Why wouldn't he gamble on the game? We may never know officially if the game was rigged, but considering Tim Donaghy gambled on this game, well, in my opinion, he gambled on this game, and there were 25 more free throws in the fourth quarter by the Lakers, I would say the Kings were slated on this day. It is so sad because Chris Webber will be viewed differently. The Kings organization will be viewed differently. The argument that Chris Webber was the top 50 player of all time that was made on open court wouldn't even be a question. The Lakers would have never had a chance to go to the NBA Finals. They wouldn't have ever played the Nets, and they wouldn't ever won a championship. Plain as that. Don't get me wrong, I may be biased because the Lakers are my favorite team. I was happy the Lakers won, and it only made Kobe Bryant, my favorite player, have a better career. But I feel for the Kings, because we all knew that whoever came out of the West was going to win and get a banner up in the rafters. I mean, look at these scores of the Nets versus the Lakers. It was a sweep. It was a total beatdown. So you can come up with your own opinion of what happened in 2002 with the Lakers and the Kings. The rivalry that was one of the best in the NBA during the time. But in my opinion, the Kings should have a banner up in their stadium as the 2002 NBA champions, and not the Lakers. This is one of the greatest rivalries we had seen in the NBA, but it's not even talked about as much as it should be. So just remember, the Kings don't have to be the laughingstock of the NBA. They have been a good team in the past. They had a championship caliber team. I mean, heck, they should have won in 2002. Well, that's just my opinion. This is Hoop Rat. Like, subscribe, and let me know what you think of the video. Thanks for watching.